And this is something different that I wanted to bring. We haven't,
right?
I kind of mentioned this last week, and it's something that I wanted to start. I think we were talking about Ricardo Lopez, and we mentioned a couple other guys. Right. And I'm a boxing kind of history kind of guy. It started like in the 80s, and I just been that way ever since. So
you're becoming like a Steve Farhood, like a legitimate historian.
If I could get to that level, that would be the absolute cherry on top of the sundae, because that dude. We've had Steve Farwood on the show twice, and just listening to the knowledge that emanates from that dude it's entertaining to me anyway. Yeah. So on my best day, I got the knowledge that Steve Farwood has. So my guy, this is something I want to start. This is a fighter that you need to YouTube, a fighter you need to look up in the event you don't know who he is. And my guy this week is Khaosai Galaxy.
I don't know who he is.
You do know who he is. There's no way you don't know.
Well, I mean, look, if this segment's like guys that we shouldn't know, we got to look up. I mean, yes. Is he from Thailand?
He is from Thailand. He is regarded as
former WBA champion, long time ago.
Super flyweight, yes. Super fly.
From Muay Thai to boxing.
Yes, from Muay Thai, which is a very common transition among Thai fighters, because generally Thai fighters grow up practicing Muay Thai. And some of them transition to traditional boxing, others don't. But Khaosai Galaxy is regarded by most as the greatest Thai boxer in history. Obviously, all of that stuff is always opinionated, but
right.
He gets that distinction by most.
Thai boxer.
Not
Muay Thai fighter.
No,
Thai boxer. All right, this is your between the rounds. I'm going to be quiet.
No, well, yeah. You can come back later. But I'm gonna state the case for why you need to YouTube Khaosai Galaxy. 47-1 throughout his career, 41 knockouts. If you know anything about the smaller weight classes, that sort of KO ratio is rare, very rare. Southpaw with we talked about Ricardo Lopez. Reminding us of Inoue, the torque and the leverage that Inoue gets on his shots in the smaller weight classes. If you look at Galaxy fight, you see something. To me, I don't see very many guys in the smaller weight classes who are able to sit down on shots and to create that snap, especially with shorter punches like the 6-inch punches and those. He just generated such a snap on the shots. It was, if you watch him, I think you can see what I mean. And I'm talking, of course, obviously the people who've never seen him fight. 5'5", just compact and powerful. Underrated defense. There's a whole video that you can watch just on him slipping punches. Didn't keep his hands extremely high through in most fights. He fought with this cool and this calm and this presence, almost as if he just always knew, I'll be able to avoid the shot. I'll be able to slip the shot. I'll be able to move just a little bit to the left, just a little bit to the right. But when I counter, this is what I'm here for. And it just a very, very underrated fighter, I think, in the grand scheme of things, when people talk about like the best fighters of the 80s, because the 80s was his time. He dominated super flyweight division pretty much throughout the entire decade. But he very rarely fought outside of Thailand, which is one of the reasons why I think most people, especially American boxing fans, may have never heard of him. So that is my between the rounds. I cannot wait to hear, because I got the feeling you got something potent to come back with.
Maybe. So I mean, we'll see.
I can't wait to hear it.
The wheels are turning. The wheels are turning.
The wheels are turning, and the wheels on the Peter go round and round.
Wow, I like this, first of all, because it really kind of is like a edutainment type of.
Oh, didn't I use that word in one of our off-screen conversations? I think. Why do you?
I don't know, Brian.
Why do you steal?
Just stole your thunder.
You just steal from people.
You got so excited. I was waiting to see if you pick up on that, or you're gonna. Anyway,
Do you know
But
that
no, but keeping up with what
that's the name of a KRS-One album, right?
that's fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
It's okay.
So look, I like this idea, right?
Yes.
So here's the thing. I mean, the thing about a fighter like Galaxy.
Yes.
First of all, you're talking about the 80s.
Yes.
So, and there's a few things I want to say about the 80s. Number one, as dominant as he was in his weight class, he was still competing for the overall market share against some of the greatest fighters in modern history.
Yes.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Thomas Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Mike Tyson coming up. I'm just saying, like, and that's just home. That's just like 6, 7 guys, like right off the top of my head, right? Of in the 80s, and I'm sure someone could name another 5 off the top of their head that would give you. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, Aaron. I mean, you have Pryor, you have Iron Barkley. I'm just saying, like a competitive on television environment.
Just beast everywhere.
Yeah, so many good fighters. What a great time for boxing. So much boxing going on domestically in the US. No internet.
And on television on top of that.
Right. But there was no internet.
Right.
So now you have a fighter that is primarily dominant, but fighting in a smaller weight class. And they're fighting in Thailand.
For 90% of the fights.
Right. So you have the language barrier. You have the fact that the lower weight classes weren't given as much love. And that really still continues. I mean, only in a day and age now, only in a time now when the internet could have a guy like Roman Gonzalez.
And in a way, yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, 4 years ago, Roman Gonzalez was like pound for pound, number one on a lot of people's list.
Yep.
And that's just because more people had the opportunity to see him fight. And because it was easy to circulate that and get the name out there and people see, and, even in the smaller weight classes. Then you have guys that were like Ivan Calderon, like we said, Ricardo Lopez, even a fighter that I used to work with back in the day, Nana Kanadu from Ghana. Like, these guys were very dominant. They were great fighters. But they just, they didn't get as much exposure.
Mark, too sharp.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like,
man, that guy was a good fighter too.
There are just so many fighters that, for whatever reason, never got on the radar. I mean, a lot of times it's just about awareness. So if he's not on television, there was no internet. Really, how were people in the United States or even in other countries around the world other than Thailand, how is he going to get on the radar?
Exactly. It brings up a question.
And also, I have another question. You got to go back and look at the level of opposition.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to bring up, because when you have a career that takes place almost entirely in your country, and your country's not the United Kingdom or the United States, there does come a point where you're starting to worry about, okay, how diversified is his opposition,
right?
And
like, who is he knocking out?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you take a look at, like, and you can take this with a grain of salt, absolutely. The star levels that BoxRec gives most of his opponents, he's only got, like, I think there's the 2 fighters on his resume that have 4 stars or more. Every other fight that he has is 2 or 3. And then, of course, everybody has a bunch of 1-star fights. It just is what it is. So that does matter. But there is an eyeball test that when you watch him fight, you're like, whoa, there's something serious here. And
look, and he was a world champion.
Yes,
for what it's worth. I mean, it wasn't
for a long time.
Right.
So that's true. And then the other thing of it is, if you're going to talk about the star rating, you got to figure out, like, how many people during that time were getting any star ratings in his weight division above 3 stars anyway. So that's just what it is. But it also is interesting to me, when he retired, he did not fight for as long as, like, most people fight. He was 30. He wasn't even 32 yet when he hung it up. So,
yeah, but Brian, in the 80s, that was old. I mean,
yeah, but a lot of guys come back and all of that. He walked away, and that was it, and that was done. And that's rare in itself. for a fight, especially somebody with 47-1 with 40 knockouts, retires as a world champion and just stays gone. That's almost unheard of in boxing. Very few people do that. So it's an interesting fighter, interesting person. He is super respected amongst almost all boxing circles and boxing communities. So if you haven't had an opportunity to watch him, no matter what you come away thinking after you watch it, I would say you could, you can learn something by just going ahead and taking a look at some of the stuff out. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube on him. Just put in the name and you'll see what I mean.